Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 of a best of 5 between Underthesea and Gonzo in the grand final of the Season 5 playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League. Today they are playing on Orsha North, and on our left in the red team playing on the allied side, we have Underthesea using the 2nd Armoured French and the Vanguard deployment type. And on our right in the blue team playing on the Axis side, we have Gonzo using the 28th Jager and the balanced deployment type. Please remember that all of the games in the finals were played before the Burning Baltics DLC and the range changes. Also, apologies for no second semi-final, but I couldn't get the replays for the games between Nilla and Underthesea, unfortunately. But Underthesea took the semi-final from Nilla 2-0. Which is, to me, quite surprising. I've never seen Underthesea play before, so I haven't been really covering the league much. I don't really know the player very well. So I'm actually super excited to see how this is going to go against Gonzo and what Underthesea has under their belt to take Gonzo on. Because Gonzo, obviously, a Titan who's already taken out Karma from the tournament. And yeah, this is going to be a crazy matchup. Because, yeah, 2-0 in the semi-finals, very strong performance from Underthesea. He's also known as UUUU on the Steel Division official Discord, so some of you guys might know him there. But either way, here we are on Orsha North. Let's have a quick look at the units going down. So over on the top side here for Underthesea, we have flamethrowers. We've got 2 Pioneers, going to be a Voltigeurs, M8 Spy and Bazooka. Further down, it's going to be... These are 30 cows in the M5 half-tracks and the M8 Spy there. Another 30 cal there. And then on the bottom side, it's going to be more flamethrowers, more voltigeurs, 2 sappers, an M10, and 2 M4A2s. So he's got the majority of his points on the bottom, but he was also looking to contest the top. So I would expect that that's going to be mostly contesting the top and bottom side with all of the machine guns covering the center. Then we have, for Gonzo, Pack 38 on the top with the Jager Flammenwerfer. I love the Jager Flammenwerfer. They're just a 2-man squad with 2 flamethrowers. no submachine gun. Jaegers, Panzerjäger, Jager Pioneers, another Jager back there with the Ersatztruppen in the middle. Ersatztruppen heading to the middle of the map. There's going to be 6 Ersatztruppen there, just spreading out. Looks like that's what Gonzo's going to use to hold the center of the map, whilst he's using more Jaegers, Panzerjäger, Jager Pioneers. He's got the Jager Pioneer Führer in there as well. 2 of those. And Gonzo's deploying very, very similar, but he doesn't really have any sort of armored support. So he's going to be extremely reliant on these Panzerjäger units and the AT that the Jaegers have to deal with things like the M8 Spy and also the M4A2s. And in the middle, yeah, just the Ersatztruppen just spreading out. The Ersatztruppen won't be able to push here because the 30 cals will hold them back, but I think Gonzo's just doing that to hold the ground, of course. So he's got in a reasonable good position here. These Jaegers are very interesting troops. They have 7 submachine guns. So they're actually scary good at close range when they have decent veterancy. So we're going to have to look out and see if those engagements can occur. Like with the 28th Jager, the Jager Pioneers are actually your better longer range engagement tool because they have the 8 G43s and the MG42. But no engagements just yet. Both players playing relatively safe. The M8 Spy is going to force back that Ersatztruppen. And this is still pushing forwards with the sappers here. He's unloaded one of them into the trees. But here we go. Here's the armoured push coming in on this bottom side. And this is something that, yeah, Gonzo can maybe deal with, but I feel like he's very light on AT. Like, he can Panzerschreck that half-track, but the issue is now is that Underthesea knows that Panzerjäger's there. So he's going to screen his tanks with his infantry first, have the M4A2s be at a safe distance supporting those, and then eventually break down the Panzerjäger squad, allowing him to put more pressure onto the Jaegers. That's kind of how it would have to go. Ooh, the sappers there got the TNT off. Didn't quite kill the Panzerjäger squad, it was close. Gonzo managing to run away with that unit quickly enough. All the concentration of forces on the bottom at the moment, all the concentration of fighting at least, sorry. On the top side, things are completely static. So Jager's Jager Pioneerführer. Looks like the Jager Pioneerführer is being moved up to throw its grenade, but it's going to want to back off so the sappers don't throw theirs. Never mind, looks like the sappers go down in time. Jaegers are going to get caught out in the open here. This is not a good place for the Jaegers to be, because whilst they do have an MG42 and 2 G43s, the M1 Garands of the sappers can actually do quite a lot of damage from heavy to light cover, or heavy to no cover in that case. Well, here comes the bomber, DB coming in. Jaeger's going to get pinned down. Jaeger Pioneer is already gone. Flamethrower coming around the corner here. These Jaegers, it looks like they're in a bit of trouble. Yeah, they're getting hit very hard by the voltages in the open. And Flamethrower helps finish them off. This bottom side's crumbling pretty fast right now. And Gonzo's going to be forced to bring in a bunch of martyrs to help deal with the armored support, not only in the M4A2s, but also in the half-tracks. The half-tracks causing a lot of issues because of suppression, which basically forces Gonzo to be like very careful with his deployment. He's jumping up here to try and get the shot with the Panzerstreck onto the M5A1, but does manage to find it. But does end up potentially losing his Panzerjäger here. It depends if Underthesea can chase that down in time. The M10 in the forest did die. The M4A2 on the ridge here is being forced to fall back. One of the martyrs, I think, took a penetration. Yeah, but didn't die. There's now 4 M4A2s on this bottom side. That's a lot of tanks. And yeah, the M10 did go down in the trees to the Panzerjäger there. But Underthesea has kind of done his job so far. He's taken the extra flag. He's starting to bleed tickets from Gonzo. And so far, I am quite impressed with the push coming out here from Underthesea. But I think it's mostly Gonzo's mistake of not really having sufficient anti-armor support early on. It leaves his Jaegers very vulnerable because they can't trade very well with infantry at range. They need to require close range engagements, but then they also can't do that if they're covered by Shermans. Like the Shermans can get close because there's no long range AT. Nice bombing strike from the DB there, takes out one of the martyrs. Good shot from the M4A2, takes out the transport on the road. It's cutting off the reinforcements there. One of the M4A2s did go down. I think that was in fact the leader that went down, which is a good kill from Gonzo. But now we have Pioneers coming in with the voltages. So not only does Underthesea have 2-man flamer squads, he also has the Pioneers. And he's backing those up with the voltages. Very fluid movement here from Underthesea. One thing I always am impressed about with Gonzo is that you never really see like any of the units in combat like not moving. And Underthesea is like constantly microing all of these units about. He's spreading them out a bit. He's a bit wary of like any like attacks from the air and so on. Gonzo's actually brought up a Flak 43 to help deal with these DBs. Trouble with the DBs though is they're very fast and they're quite resilient, so you're going to need more than just one Flak 43 to start shooting things down. That's quite a large investment, and if he starts engaging or investing, sorry, in AA on this bottom side, all that Underthesea needs to do is start using the bombers on the top side where there's no AA eventually. And both players still have their entire starting force in position there. I think Underthesea was purposefully playing more defensive up on that top side though, because since we saw the investment in armor on the bottom side. But we have the Stug 3 here engaging the M4A2s at maximum range. The M4A2s do need to be careful. You see one of them is going to go down there. That's left now only 2 for Underthesea. But he's got all of these half tracks, and every time he sees an engagement between his voltages and his Jaegers, he's trying to move up the half tracks to support as quickly as possible. M4A2 still taking this engagement. Not ideal. Stugs do have a pretty good amount of penetration at this range. And the penetration of the M4A2s is not that good against the Stug. 90 mils of penetration versus 90 millimeters of frontal armor at 2,000 meter range. Yes, you can get a penetration in there every now and then, but it's not going to be as likely as a Stug is to penetrate an M4A2. 57mm AT gun has been unloaded from Underthesea. He's bringing up 2 more M10s and some off-map. He's got the voltages moving now into the town. Going for a bit of a two-pronged attack here. He's going to be keeping pressure on the bottom side, but he's also now going to try and take advantage of the weaker areas where Gonzo's not paying too much attention. And it looks like this Ersatztruppen push from here, Gonzo's actually working out quite well. He might be able to get a flag out of that and kind of neutralize the negative tick that he's currently dealing with. Voltages going to find Jager Pioneer Führer. They're certainly going to lob that grenade and enjoy that engagement. Did manage to fall them back just in time. Good timing there from Underthesea. Marder goes down though. This Marder's looking for the shots onto the M5A1 half tracks. Looks like the voltages actually took a lot of damage there from the Ersatztruppen. I think because the half-track was being naded by the Ersatztruppen, the splash was pinning down the voltages, causing them to take a lot of damage. And, well, one of those voltages is going to get saved by that half-track, but the Marder's going to be pushing into that. Sappers might be able to get Bazooka on target, but I think the Marder's just zooming up that road a little bit just to avoid that engagement. Ooh, almost takes out the voltages in the half-track. I like the micro there, like saving the voltages, but almost cost him his unit. Yeah, so the Ersatztruppen dealing with the voltages quite well. Ersatztruppen, of course, do have a lot of rifles, so in a rifle-on-rifle matchup, they're actually not too bad. The M1 Garand's generally better, like if both of the units were in heavy cover, the voltages would win the engagement. But in this case, the Ersatztruppen holding stronger than I would have imagined in that position, especially with the 3 half-tracks in tow, but 2 of them already dead now, with the Marder cleaning up that one. That's all 3 of those dead. I think these are the ones that came out of the trees. They've come to support that flag, but it is 14-10, and Underthesea is still controlling this bottom side of the map very well, maintaining the pressure that he needs to with the Vanguard deployment type versus the balanced deployment type, something I haven't really mentioned yet. Like, the difference in deployment type is quite apparent in the early phases. DB coming in for a bombing strike here onto the MG42, and as I was mentioning, one Flak 43 not really going to be able to stop that from dropping its bombs. Looks like it did suppress it enough though for the MG42 to take no damage, which is pretty substantial. Pioneers here going to be engaging the Jager Pioneer Führer. Oh, took them out with that. The last man just got wiped out there very quickly, and the Pioneer's going to also be able to clean out these Ersatztruppen, which gives Underthesea complete control over the forest on this bottom side, which is a good place for him to be in. Because now what he can do is he can just get some AT guns onto the ridge here, maybe into the cover further down, and he can cover this road for a serious amount of time. So the Stör 42, does it have eyes on the 57? It might do. Yeah, it does. Nice. Okay, so the Stör 42 is going to be able to clean that up unless it can retreat in time. Looks like it can. Manages to just about get out of the line of sight. Jaegers being moved in. Oh, got to be careful of the M4A2. Doesn't want that to snipe his transports. Stug trying to engage it. MG42s need to do a lot of work here from those Jaeger squads. But ultimately getting the MP40s on line of sight, close range on these voltages would wipe them out very quickly. The 2 M10s, they've now moved forwards to engage the Stör. The M10s, they don't have APCR. At this sort of range, they're going to be doing a lot of penetration though, with 130 mils of penetration there, and they have a good enough amount of damage to pop the Stör there, so that's a good kill. Now he's going to be engaging the Stug 3 as well. Oh, that was risky there from Gonzo. I feel like in those sort of situations you might as well just let the Stug fire. But at the moment, things not looking too great for Gonzo. He's lost this flag, which is now 15-9 for Underthesea. Gonzo's really in trouble. The DB coming in with a bombing strike onto the Jaegers and the Stug. Will that get shot down? Will the Flak 43 be enough? Almost looks like it will. Very, very close. Not this time around, though. It's very unlikely that a Flak 43 is going to, like I said, kill a plane on its own. You generally need, like, at least a couple of them if you really want to secure those kills, but it is a large investment for one side of the map. You got the HS-129B3 coming in here. That's looking for the M4A2 leader. These have a lot of penetration, so able to clean up that M4A2 quite easily. Now, Gonzo really needs to start to think about how he's going to equalize this game, because he's got the balanced deployment type, so he wants to be playing for the late game. He needs to get this under control ASAP. Otherwise, he'll bleed too much, and Underthesea will have a very good chance of taking the victory. So, Gonzo's got to push back as hard as he can in B and try and get some really good value out of his units. At the moment, the income, of course, is still equal between the two players. So, yeah, Gonzo's basically got to get good value for money. So, Jager's killing M10s, that's a good start. If they can get their Panzerfaust on target, oh... The aim time there is such a big problem at the moment with Panzerfausts. Stug 3 went down further up, but the B3 gets the 2 kills onto the M10s. That's a very nice trade there. Pack 38 hasn't unloaded. That's a mistake. Gets taken out. Half track stays alive. Because of that, Stug 3 has to stay backed off. DB coming in with a bombing strike. Is that just straight up bombing the AA? It is. How cheeky. Oh, that's unfortunate. The Flak 43 actually survives. I thought it was going to go down. Looks like just a few of those bombs were far enough off for that not to actually kill it. The HS-129B3s are just still chilling in the sky. No fighters coming out from Underthesea, but this is a large air investment from Gonzo. He needs to get a lot of value out of these to make them worth it. Nice, good double kill there onto the M4A2s. And the issue with buying like HS-129s in this position is it does kind of leave you dry on the ground, because these aren't cheap. You know, they're 140 points. That's the equivalent of like, I don't even know, 6, 7 squads of Jagers. They're 20 points each. So yeah, you're definitely going to be like lacking more infantry on the ground when you're investing in such an expensive plane like that. But getting double kills onto those tanks is certainly making up for some of the cost that he's put in. But he still needs to basically kill 3 M4A2s with each of the HS-129s in order to break even. So, or go slightly positive, I guess. The Flak 43 almost went down there to the half track. It looks like Underthesea is really trying to crack that down, but I guess it doesn't really matter that much at the moment. Underthesea is just keeping on the pressure in Phase B. And Gonzo is going to lose in 7 minutes and 45 seconds if he can't find ground in this game. It's very, very close. Pack 38 going to be the target of the next DB bombing strike. It's going to clean up some space in the middle for Underthesea to keep this pushing going. Like, having secured this town, that is 2 quick points that he's taken from Gonzo. He's obviously held this point for most of the game, which has maintained the initial tick. Now we've been double ticking the whole time. The tickets are bleeding fast on the side of Gonzo. But as soon as we move into Phase C, Underthesea is going to come under a lot of pressure from the late game power of a balanced deployment type deck. Here we go again with the HS-129s. See if he can get this M4A2 kill. He's looking for it. Underthesea reacting. He's trying to reverse away from it. Going to get into cover. Nope, not in time. HS-129 gets the kill, but might get shot down. The Bofors is in a good position now. The nice thing about these GMC Bofors is they're really easy to redeploy. You can move them around very quickly, so you can put them exactly where you need them. In this case, I think the HS-129, it might just be tanky enough to not go down to that Bofors this time around. But if a second one of those gets on the field, those HS-129s won't really be able to do too much. MG42 going to get bombed. Erzastruppen also pinned down. That could easily give the flag over to Underthesea. And Gonzo is being forced to bring in some Stugs here to prevent the open ground pushes that Underthesea is doing now. Underthesea kind of secured this bottom side. He's not really under much pressure here. Gonzo hasn't really been pushing back much with his infantry. Gonzo instead has been trying to focus on the town. Like the 2 flags here, obviously quite important for him to get back. He's managed to get one of them. If he can get the second one back, then that would bring it back down to only a 1 tick. He's also managed to go ahead and move up on this top side. I completely missed this, but it looks like he's kind of spread out his infantry. He's gone for a little bit of a push here, managing to take out all these half-tracks and the supporting infantry, Flammenwerfers and so on. So back to 14 to 10. Yeah, Gonzo is now making the counterplay on the top. Can he turn this game around? Underthesea going to be dropping off map though on this target, and my lord, that's going to get a lot of kills potentially. That could be very, very nasty indeed. Let's see if it hits the mark. The thing is, all Underthesea really needs to do is just get this half-track fast moving down this road, and he could just surrender all of these units that are pinned down. But good progress made from Gonzo on the top, forcing Underthesea to change his attack. He needs to now bring in some reinforcements to this top side, which will kind of relieve a bit of pressure on the bottom. Still more coming in. M4A2's halfway there. The off-map did push Gonzo off this flag. The half-track did move in there to secure it. And now, more off-map coming down. Due to the size of this, I assume that's a barrage. He's just going to use it to kind of cover off the road and prevent reinforcements. Stug 3 moving up on the bottom side flank, looking to capture a flag temporarily. And yes, Gonzo's made some ground up here, but it's not going to be 2 flags for too long, since this one goes back in the favour of Underthesea, and we're back to 16 to 8. Underthesea keeping up the pressure. It is amazing to see Gonzo in this sort of position. This has been very well played here from Underthesea. Very aggressive, utilising the lack of AT on the side of Gonzo. There's a lot of infantry AT, but if you micro well against infantry AT, you shouldn't really get caught out by it. So for example, in this case, like the M5 half-track, he's going to just reverse it as soon as the Jaegers get in range, and they're not going to get a Panzerfaust off. And as long as you're paying attention, this kind of infantry play that Gonzo's trying to go for is actually much easier to micro against than it looks. HS129 though, coming in with the M4A2, but that is game. Minor defeat. That's going to be a victory for Gonzo. Interesting. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but that ended very abruptly. I feel like Underthesea might have dropped from the game. So as you can see at the end of the game, I was audibly confused about what happened at the end of this replay. Well, apparently, according to Gonzo, I asked him afterwards, he had disconnected from the game at the end, and the decision was made that Underthesea would take the victory, even though there was obviously time left on the clock because he was at an advantage at that point in the game. Of course, you know, Gonzo might have come back, but they both decided that they would just carry on with the best of 5 and give Underthesea the win. So that leaves things at 1-0 for Underthesea. A very impressive performance from him. It's really, really good to see somebody put Gonzo under so much pressure. Of course, it does definitely help that Underthesea was using Vanguard versus Balance. That does make obviously a big difference in the early game. But Underthesea certainly utilised that advantage to make a lot of ground. But that's it from game 1. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one. I'm very much looking forward to game 2. See how it goes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.